Welcome to another episode of Off the Dribble, presented and powered by the Warner Robins All Stars. We want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. We got another big show for you tonight. We got a father-son duel that we're going to bring on and ping some questions and get to it. Before we introduce them, though, I want to introduce the team. We got Coach Tat Brooks, Coach Charles G, and I'm Coach KP. Like I said, we got a big show, so, let's get to it. I'd like to introduce Central Georgia Tech men's head coach, Coach Reco Dawson, and his son, Jalen Champ Dawson. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for having me.
Hey, we appreciate you coming on as we're trying to build this platform. I think this is going to be a great show because it covers a lot of dynamics of what we're trying to do. Just for those who may be our first time watching or something along those lines, this platform was developed to kind of give advice and information to and grow the culture of basketball, more importantly, in the Middle Georgia area. But we also want to give the parents, players, and other coaches that may be coming up information as far as how they can get to the next level and how they can get their kids seen and what's going to be needed. So again, we appreciate you guys for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate y'all for having us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, so Coach, I'm gonna read off some of your accolades. We do our research here on the show.
Okay.
That's what we known for in these few episodes.
Okay.
Hey, but I just want to read off a few things. So I got you as coaching at the collegiate level for 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
3 straight titles, conference titles.
Right.
2019-2020 GCAA Division I Men's Basketball Coach of the Year.
Okay.
District 13 Coach of the Year, 3 straight years, 2017 to 2020.
Okay.
And then something that I found very interesting, you also won the 1989 state championship at Southwest High School.
Absolutely.
Oh man.
Absolutely. We can't forget about that one. Now that's
right.
That's the best one yet.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And of course, Champ, we can't forget about you, man, being part of that 2018 5A state championship over at Warner Robins.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, I'm gonna ask you guys a question just right off the bat, and then, Coach, I'm gonna let you kind of get into how you got into coaching. But how does that feel? You winning the state championship in '89, and then your son kind of coming full circle and winning it in 2018 with Warner Robins High School. Excuse me.
Yeah, I just think, man, it's all about being a part of a good program. Back in the day, Southwest was a powerhouse. All the state championships. If you wanted to win a state championship, you had to come through Macon, Georgia. And I think now, when you're talking about coming full circle, I just think in that region, if you want to win a state championship, now it has to come through Warner Robins High School. And anytime you have that caliber of basketball in the Middle Georgia area is a plus.
Yeah. So, Champ, I'm gonna ask you, how does it feel knowing that your dad won it and then you were able to complete that circle and win it yourself?
I think it's just kind of funny to look at him being able to win the state championship and me being able to win one also. It's kind of cool when you think about it.
Oh yeah. So, Coach, I'm gonna kind of give you this opportunity and open the floor up so you can kind of let us in as far as how you got to be where you're at right now, as far as that basketball journey, and what made you want to go into coaching. So over to you, Coach.
It's the same narrative now that it was when I played basketball. One day the basketball is going to start bouncing, so you got to figure out what you want to do later in life. And it was funny when my eligibility was up at Georgia Southwestern. My head coach at the time, which was Randolph Barksdale, he needed somebody to help him, and he asked me would I help him being a basketball coach, and I told him yeah. And I said, what did I need to do? He said, well, first of all, you gotta get your master's degree. I said, okay. How do I get that? And he told me how to get it, and he told me he'll pay for it if I help him, and the athletic program will pay for it if I help him, and that's how I got started. I got started as a well, first it was just, after my eligibility was up, I started as a student assistant and then moved on to grad assistant. And then after that, man, it was just something, that I just took on to. I've had played basketball all my life, had a pretty good idea of what it was supposed to look like. So I just kind of transformed and moved some of that stuff I learned in high school onto that level. Being a grad assistant, we had during that time we made to the national tournament and things like that, and it's funny because that year we the Georgia Southwestern at the time was transforming into Division II, and they had to let go all of their assistant coaches on in all programs to save money to move forward to Division II. So that next year I was an ISS teacher and a middle school basketball coach. So that was fun, helping the kids understand how to play basketball the right way, and teaching them the game, teaching them the fundamentals. And then from then on, it just took off. I became an assistant basketball coach at a junior college, and it's just been a full head of steam from then on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So you said that the teaching aspect. So did you really enjoy being a teacher?
Well, yeah, because it's just one thing you have to understand is that a lot of the game of basketball has evolved so much, but the fundamentals are still there. You can get some guys that can really play, but don't understand the fundamentals. And teaching kids the fundamentals, it's the toughest part about it because the fundamentals are so tedious. It's all about repetition and things like that. And a lot of kids don't have patience for that. So but when they get to that next level or the higher the level, the more the fundamentals are needed. And you can tell real quick when a kid doesn't have a fundamental. So it was fun teaching kids, the fundamentals. You get a chance to tell them, stories when I was playing, I did this. It's all fun and games, but not serious. But it was fun. It was fun, especially at that middle school level.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So when you were telling them I used to do this, did they give you the look or did they believe
You know, kids gonna give you the look. Kids don't believe. The proof is in the pudding now. So you have to show them. You have to show them and things like that. Then they can believe because when you start dealing with young kids, they think you're old and you can't do it anymore and this kind of stuff. But you have to show them.
Right. So let me ask you this, Coach. How has the game kind of evolved from when you first started coaching at that college level to kind of where you're at right now?
Well, I think the game now is more of an up tempo game. It's more kids are more athletic. Kids are stronger, faster. You see kids with college bodies already and things like that. And when I played, for an example, back then, junior college was for kids, for the underdeveloped kid, the kid that needed to work on his game and things like that. Now, junior college, you have guys with pro bodies, so to speak, college bodies, and they're ready to go. You have some guys that's supposed to be mid to high major Division I. They're down in junior college. So now, those guys are taking up all the junior college spots. For whatever reason, for grades or for character issues or whatever, they're taking up all the junior college spots now. So there really no spots for that underdeveloped kid who needs to go to junior college to get stronger and get some some college games on his belt. So
Yes,
I think that's a major part of the development of the game.
Yes, sir.
Coach, when you going out to recruit a kid,
Mm-hmm.
what's one of the top things that you're looking for in a kid?
Man, it kind of depends. We kind of look at a couple of things. We always say, my assistant, Byron Mintz, he always says that, Coach, I saw this kid, he can play, but he can't play for you. So I had to find out what he meant by that. And he just said, Coach, man, with us, the kid, first of all, he has to be no, I'm not going to say no character issue. I'm just going to say low character issues.
Right.
As a basketball coach, I can deal with a lot of things, but it's certain, things that we just, don't tolerate. But I think the major thing is when we go out and look for a kid, does he fit what we do? And when I say that, it's because we run what we do is we run a kind of dribble drive, ball screen type offense. So the main thing in that offense, you got to be able to handle the basketball, and can you make ball screen reads? And the thing about it is, if a high school program doesn't run a ball screen, then it's going to be tough for a kid to learn how to make ball screen reads.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So we kind of follow teams that run some type of ball screen offense, because we need that in what we try to do in our offensive system. So I think that's the main thing that we look for when we're out recruiting kids.
Gotcha.
So, Coach, one of the big things we hear a lot is, hey, my kid is a D1 kid. He ain't doing JUCO. Whether it's from the parent or whether it's from the player, to kind of help guide parents and players through that process. What are some of the things parents and AAU coaches or high school coaches should be looking for in their kids to say, hey, because I went to a JUCO game. You guys played. I went to, man. It's no joke. Like it's high. It's high intensity. It's physical. Just straight dogs out there. So, what advice could you give to parents to let them know, hey, maybe you should consider this route?
First of all, I would advise them to go to a game. Just go to a game and watch and see the kind of the caliber of kids, the size and the framework that these kids have. There's a lot of, in Georgia we have 9 teams in our league. We always, just like it's just like NCAA. You have the Power Fives, and you have the mid major, then you have the low major. In our league, it's the same thing. You have the top tier JUCOs, you have the middle of the pack JUCOs, and you have the bottom of the pack JUCO when it comes to talent and things like that. So I advise parents to go to a JUCO game, find out where your kid can play. One thing I think parents get confused about is that every kid that plays high school basketball can't play college basketball. And I think once we figure that out, I think then we can start moving forward of what level your kid can play at in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Now, is it worth going? You're sending your kid to a mid-major school, and then he gets there and he's not as good as he thought he was, and then he's at a junior college anyway. And he moves back down to a junior college. That happens all the time. And then sometimes the kid can't even play at the junior college level. So we really got to figure out, I think as parents, we really have to figure out where our kid is at in any sport, baseball, soccer, football, in any sport, where our kid is. And we have to be honest with ourselves where they are as far as athletics, and then try to build from there. Like I said, it may be a kid that can play college basketball. He may not be able to play at Central Georgia Tech. He may be able to play at Albany Tech or East Georgia. So, and it all depends on. It's all about the right fit too. You have to go where you fit in and where you're gonna be able to get an opportunity to play, so you can get better and grow. So my advice was to just go to a JUCO game and just see where it is. And you can't, believe it or not, there are a lot of people that still downplay JUCO, but have not been to one junior college game. Mm-hmm. And in the last 5 years, our league has produced kids at Memphis, Bowling Green, Kent State, Arkansas State. Our league has produced a lot of low to mid major players. I would advise them to just come watch a game.
Yeah, and I think there's a kid coming out of JUCO. I don't know if he's in Florida, but he's entering the NBA draft. I cannot remember the kid's name though.
There's a. I mean, you have those. You have at least one of those every year.
Yeah.
Uh, that enter the draft. I mean, we've. I mean, it's. I mean, I was a JUCO guy, man, and I've seen it. Kids just, and one thing about JUCO, man, is that, you know, if you got a kid that comes from JUCO, I mean, he's worked a little bit. You know what I'm saying? He's eating McDonald's. He's eating, Burger King. He had to figure out where his next meal is going to come from. They're riding on 15 passenger vans. So, we kind of, it's kind of a work process. So if you get a JUCO kid, you're going to get a pretty good player depending on what program he's coming from.
Absolutely.
Coach, kind of talking about your program, another thing that I found out doing this research is that you've had several all-conference players, and then specifically 2 GCAA Players of the Year. So kind of, I guess, piggybacking on that, what was it as far as the way you built your program that allowed these kids to be successful? Was there a certain mindset? I know you mentioned the style of play that you guys have right now, but was it some tweaks in there and seeing that it'll be more successful to be able to showcase your kids?
Well, when I first got into this league as a coach, as an assistant coach, at back then, Georgia Perimeter, Alfred Barney and David Dennis, those guys were just running through the league. They were winning. I mean, I think there was one point where they won 3, lost the next one, won 4 in a row, lost the next one, won 2 in a row. So they was running Georgia Junior College for a long time. And when I got into this league, we had to figure out how to beat Georgia Perimeter. So, once we figured that out, now you know what kind of players you need to win the league. Back then, Georgia Perimeter, they didn't have any, so to speak, centers. They had all 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" guys that could just do it all. That just put you in bad spots, break you off at the dribble. They was tough. They could defend. They could switch. They could just do it all. It wasn't, old NBA style where we got to have a 7-footer and protect the paint and all that kind of stuff. So you had to kind of catch up with them. And that was when I was an assistant coach. Now, as a head coach, when I came in, we had to figure out who was winning the league, and then we just had to figure out how they were winning the league, what kind of players they had, where did they get their players from, what region, whether they were from Florida, South Carolina, whatever. So you just have to kind of figure it out. And once you figure it out, once you get those players, then you can start thinking about competing. My first year at Central Georgia Tech was 2012. I had back then as an assistant coach, I had owed a lot of guys some favors. So when I was assistant coach, I took a lot of kids that, guys were talking about, okay, coach, when you become head coach, now I'm gonna need a favor. So I had to return a lot of favors my first year as a head coach. And so we had some kids that we had to try to figure it out. We only won 10 games. But we made the playoffs for the first time in school's history. That was a big deal. We were like 10-20. We had to beat the 8th place team for the 8th place spot. We were tied, so we had to beat them. And I had my point guard was Cam Baker, tough kid, could really play. He had like 30, and we won that first playoff spot then, and from there we just took off. And then after you start winning, then you can kind of set the tone. Not everybody has to conform to what you're doing. And I think that's what's been successful in my time here at Central Georgia Tech. My best player have always been my point guard. I always had to have a point guard to be able to do a lot of things, whether it's scoring, run the team, get us in our spot. That's the first spot that I always feel every year is my point guard spot. And it's ironic that Champ was able to step in right away as a freshman because he had seen it all his life. I mean, he knew what it was. He coming home talking about it, watching it, coming to the games. He already knew what was going on when he stepped into the spot. So that's one of the reasons why he was so successful. Now now everybody is trying to conform or try to figure out what we're doing. and with our ball screen stuff, and we kind of mimic what Georgia Perimeter was doing. We kind of get some 6'5", 6'7" guys that can do a lot of stuff, and we were just switching up a lot of defenses and just giving people a hard time.
Yes, sir. Hey, so you brought up Champ. I was actually going to throw it to him next, but that was a perfect segue. So Champ, kind of a two-part question, man. As far as being prepared to go play at the college level, leaving Warner Robins, do you think he was prepared to go there? And then kind of tell us how it was playing for your dad.
I think leaving Warner Robins, it definitely prepared me to play college. I want to say mostly because of like playing with guys with more athleticism, bigger guys, stronger guys. It was just because when you get to college, that's what you face, guys who are already strong, maybe a little older, have that grown man strength a little bit. So that's just some of the things that you have to just be ready for. And just playing for my dad, it was definitely a learning experience, but I kind of say it was more easier learning curve because, like you said, I already knew what was expected. Just coming home, talking about it, little things that here and there that I needed to know, I kind of already knew. I was kind of already ahead, so I was able to help some of my teammates, and I think that's really what was able to give us that push that we needed to win our championship this year.
Yes, sir. So look, I have to ask this question, right? So I coach my son, right? Mm-hmm. And I know after some games, it's like don't ride home with me, you ride home with your mom.
Yeah, we went through that a couple of times.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure that was part of that process.
Right. That's part of the process. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's going to happen. And then, sometimes you just don't even talk about it.
Right.
You just don't even, you don't talk about it. You let it be a learning experience. And if you have any questions, he'll come ask you.
Yeah. So all good. Post that.
All good.
Yeah. And Champ, I'm going to ask you this now, and I want you to be honest. Your dad won the state championship in 1989. His group. Your group, 2018. Who wins that game?
We win that game. Just because. Now they might have a little bit more size than this, but
Well, we definitely had more size now.
I like that though.
We definitely had we had 2 7-footers.
Oh wow.
We had 2 7-footers, 2 McDonald All-Americans. I I probably was the least talented guy on that team. If that's any indication of how good we were. And we had some guys that just that just got it done. But back in the day, man, to be able to play for if you played for Don Richardson, man, you had to be a disciplined guy. Everybody couldn't play for him. We had guys in the neighborhood that could really, really play. But if you didn't do what he asked you to do to a T, you weren't playing. So it was just a lot of things. And the things we did back then today would be considered abuse. To be honest with you, so it was crazy, man. It was crazy, but I would, if someone asked me, our assistant coach passed away a couple of weeks ago, and somebody asked me about the time we spent together, and they asked me if I had a chance to do it all over again at Southwest High School, would I do it? And absolutely, I would do it all over again. We had that much fun. It was just incredible.
And then, Coach, I'm gonna ask you this now.
Okay.
You played for like you say, the legendary Don Richardson. In your coaching, what things that you took from his style or his way of coaching that you implement with your guys right now?
Well, just the toughness aspect, man. Playing for him, you had to be tough, man. You had to be, you had to be physically tough, and you had to be mentally tough. And one thing he used to say during that time was, if you're gonna play this game, everything can't bother you. Some things you're gonna have to roll off your back. He always said, listen to the message and not the tone. And sometimes in practice, Coach, man, I found myself sounding like him, so I have to kind of be careful because a lot of, it brings back a lot of memories. A lot of things he said, we knew we were about to get put on the line or something like that. So I kind of take pieces and pieces of what I learned back then, and I kind of implement it. But you have to be careful with kids these days, man, because some kids are so mentally fragile that they'll quit on you. And it's, to be honest with you, it's sad that it has come to that point. But I mean, that's where we are. So you have to be kind of careful. You have to there's a thin line. You have to try to not cross in order to keep your job and things like that. And I remember times back then where our parents didn't care. I mean, they were like, they knew where you were. You weren't out on the street, and all of them knew Duck, so they knew he was going to take care of you. So if Duck said it, it was like gold. you know. But just some teaching techniques and some conditioning techniques that I learned playing for him that we kind of use today. One thing he used to say is that you can't play this game without being in perfect condition or good conditioning. So we do a lot of conditioning. And one of the most important things that I learned is that we try to implement our conditioning into what we're doing. So if we're working in on our transition stuff, then we're gonna implement some conditioning in it. Or if we're working on our baseline out of bounds or a sideline out of bounds, we'll try to implement some conditioning in it. So kids won't think, it's time to run and all this kind of stuff. But if you say, okay, let's run this play and then we're gonna run it down on the end and back, they want to do that, but they don't know they're getting conditioning in with it. You know what I'm saying? So just try to kind of, just try to make it, give a different flavor to it,
Right.
Champ, question, man. I've always told you about your leadership skills and how you always lead, and you lead by example. What traits did you take from high school and giving it to the young?
When I got to college, just trying to lead, it was a little bit different because it's already some older guys, so it's kind of hard to lead older guys. But as time went on, they kind of just allowed me to step into that role. It was just a thing of that nature, and I just tried my best to just lead by example, and also being more vocal with my leadership. Even though guys are older, I still had to be vocal. If you know what to do, you know what I'm saying, you have to speak up. And then just kind of later on in the season, they just start looking to me as a leader.
Right.
Hey, Champ, got a quick question for you. Actually, it's two questions. So, during your transition from high school to college, kind of talk to us about, one of your biggest challenges. And then the second part is, being that you went through the process, you're done with your JUCO career, what have you added to your game?
All right, first, the biggest challenge going from high school to college, definitely the weight room. The weight room it's something I feel like you never get used to. I mean, you kind of do, but once in season comes, it's kind of up to you to kind of try to keep up that strength. So one of the hardest things is just the off season, where there's no balls, it's just weights, conditioning, that kind of thing. I'd say that's the toughest thing that a lot of people don't understand about going to college. You just think, I can play, I can do this on the court, but it's off the court first, the off season. So I definitely say the weight room and just trying to be disciplined with doing it. Right. And what was the other thing you said?
What have you added to your game? What are some of those things you've gotten better at and that's made you champ? You know what I'm saying? As champ is today.
Yeah, I got you. Some of the things that I added to my game from high school to college, what I say, just it kind of sounds a little cliche, but just being more aggressive, just learning how to, and it just comes with experience. Just being more aggressive, learning when to do what. That's what I would say the most. Like just that experience of knowing when to do this, when to do that, when to be aggressive, when to not be so aggressive. How to set the tone, how to set the tempo. Getting guys in spots, making sure everybody, you know what I'm saying? And another thing I'd say that has made me me is just learning how to talk to my teammates. Like, you can't talk to everybody the same. Some people you have to treat one way, some people you have to treat this way. But at the end of the day, as long as they come along, so that's one of the major things I say. I just learned how to encourage my teammates, tell them what they need to hear, and sometimes tell them what they don't want to hear. And at the end of the day, it's just all for one common goal. So,
Absolutely.
Hey, Tam, I'm gonna stay with you on this next question. Can you kind of speak to your drills, right? Your drills and skills, right? So more specifically, your ball handling drills, things that you would do to prepare going into season, and then once you're in season, kind of the things that you kept doing to stay on top of your game. So we've had other folks on here, and they stress the fundamentals. Can you kind of just speak on that for what worked for you and kind of things that you went back to keep you on point during the season?
Personally, for me, I just do like you said, a lot of ball screen stuff, because once you go to college, especially with our team, we did a lot of ball screen work. So just ball screen reads, coming off the ball screen, floaters, pull-ups, just all sorts of things like that. And as far as in season, I just try to make sure I was getting a lot of shots up. Just like late nights, just shooting on the gun, just trying to make sure I get as many shots as possible, free throws, just stuff like that. Nothing too, nothing too much, but just enough to make sure you're still on your game.
Right. So Coach, this question's for you. As far as that recruiting piece, right? So when you're going to look at a kid, what are some of the intangibles that you look for when you're scouting a kid?
Well, with our offense, man, I said this I was on another podcast or show, and when I go look for a kid, man, I would take the fifth, sixth, or seventh best player on a great team before I take the best player on a bad team. And the reason for that is because that guy who's the fifth, sixth best player on a good team, he knows how to do those small things that's going to help you win basketball games. Like, he'll be in the right spot defensively. He'll know how to rotate. He'll communicate. You're not going to have to beg him to communicate. He's going to take a charge. He's going to be in all those spots. He's going to be a great cheerleader on the bench and things like that. But you get that kid, the best player on a bad team, and if you look closely, he's taking all the shots. There are a lot of bad shots. When something's not going right, he's going to point the finger at someone else, and he's going to do all those things. So we just try to go after kids that fit what we do. We look at taking guys that can put the ball on the floor more opposed to guys who just shooters and things like that. If you can shoot, okay, but can you put the basketball on the floor? I feel like if you're just a shooter when you're not making shots, you can't help us. But if you're a ball handler and you're not making shots, we can find you still could play, you still could be on the floor in our system, because our 1 through 4 spots all have to learn how to handle the basketball. And always at some point in our offense, we'll be coming off a ball screen. So ball handling and ball handling and being able to make decisions is key for us. And when we go watch games, you can see real quick if a kid know how to make a decision. So we just try to figure out if that kid fits into what we do. And once we figure out, okay, he fits in what we do, then we continue through the process. We may call the school counselor to find out how many times how many days he's missed school, or how many times he's been in school suspension or something like that. And we just kind of take it from there. And that's how you figure out, they always, you always say, kids going to show you some red flags. That's how we figure out our red flags. If a kid missed X amount of days in high school and he has to be there every day, he's gonna miss college when it's that much more freedom on a college campus. So we kind of take that into consideration. We also kind of take what they've done in their high school career. Right now when you're talking about moving on to college basketball, you don't have to average 20 and 10 to get a college basketball scholarship. As long as you are able to do your job and do what the position requires, somebody's going to find you. You'll be able to fit in somebody's system. So the myth of guys averaging 20 and 10 and all that kind of stuff is I just think is blown out of proportion, in my opinion.
Right.
Because when you talk about college basketball, everybody can't score 20 and 10. Somebody's gonna have to rebound. Somebody got to defend. Somebody's gonna have to fold a towel. Somebody's gonna have to get the water. Everybody can't do that scoring job. And I think that's why we've been successful, because we've had teams and we've had guys that understood that. I mean, we preach it every day, but the buy-in has to be there. And once you get guys to buy in, that's when all the positive things, supposed to happen. For an example, with this year's team, we went down in Orlando, and I think Champ, what we won, we went 2-2, and we had a lot of teams in our league. We had just won it back to back, and I heard all the noise, all the chatter. Oh, Central Georgia Tech is not that good this year. They're going to struggle. They may not win 10 games. You know what I'm saying? All that kind of noise. But the thing about it is, they have no idea what we do every day in practice. And what we did every day in practice helped us overcome those obstacles that we had during the year. And our guys bought in. And at the end of the season, we were just tougher than everybody. And at the end of the day, sometimes that's all you need to win. You just got to be tougher. We were tougher, and we were more conditioned than our teams.
So, Coach, I'm gonna ask you another question, and it kind of was some of the things you were hitting on as far as assigning roles for guys, right? Mm-hmm. So when they come in, because they may be used to being that guy on their team or something along those lines, and specifically where they're coming in for 2 years, and you're telling a guy, okay, this is going to be your role. Mm-hmm. How do you get those guys to buy in as far as explaining to them for the greater good of the team?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't define roles. I let players define roles. I let them define that. When everybody knows when you come in, because first of all, I don't tell any guy not to shoot the basketball. I've always encouraged my guys to shoot the basketball, but it's just going to be up to you when you shoot it and when you don't shoot it.
Right.
But yeah, players kind of define players' roles. You know what I mean? Everybody, when you come in, one thing about players is players know who can play and players know who can do this and who can do that and things like that. So, with this year's team, guys, our players knew that Champ was our best decision maker, our best ball handler. So I didn't have to tell them to get the ball in Champ hand and let's get into our stuff. We had a couple of guys that could score the basketball and things like that. So they kind of fell into their role. But one thing I do, I have done, and I continue to do this to this day. With this team, I brought my 5 sophomores in, and I told them I think it had to be 2 or 3 times this season. Champ, Miles, Lincoln, JT, and Big Chris. If we're gonna win the championship, it's gonna depend on y'all 5. We had five sophomores, 6 freshmen. If we're gonna win it, it's on y'all. So I let them figure it out because they're the ones that have to play together on the floor. They're the ones they're gonna shoot all the shots. They're gonna do all the things that's required to win. So I have to I try not to micromanage them, and I let them figure out. Now, was there some tough days? Yes, there were some tough days where guys got into it. There were some tough days when these 2 guys got into it. These 3 guys got into it. But you have to let them figure it out. Because if you don't let them figure it out, when it's come time to win, and they're going to still be trying to figure it out. And one thing about this team is that they figured it out early. And another thing, so many coaches and players, they get caught up on winning games early. We 5-0 the first game and all that kind of stuff. We try not to worry about that. We have to worry about we try to create some adversity early on to see how the guys respond and see how they're gonna bond and things like that. So my teams are never good early, but we're always there in the end. And I think because of that, because we let guys define their own role while we've been successful. And the thing about it is, players are going to be truthful with players. So if a player knows a guy is a great defensive player, when he come in, they're gonna be telling, hey man, hey, you get on this guy right here. We know you can lock him down. You know what I'm saying. So we let guys figure it out. I remember one incident. We was in a championship game, and we had one of our best players. We had, well, not really our best player, but one of our top guys. He was kind of shying away from contact and stuff like that, and we do contact drills every day. He was kind of shying away, and something had happened. He got fouled and things like that. And I know Champ went up to him. He said, "Man, don't you shy away from us tonight. We need you tonight."
Right.
And Champ was able to tell him that because early on in the year, him and Champ had some words, and they trying to figure each other out. And now they both respect each other. And he looked at Champ and said, "Man, you're right. You're absolutely right." And then he went back and scored like 6 straight buckets for us to put us up 10 and things like that. And that's what you need on teams and things. That's the kind of leadership you need from your point guard, and then that's the kind of toughness mentally you need from one of your top guys to say, "Yeah, you're right. I'm fading away. Yeah, you're right. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get better at it." You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Instead of
yeah.
Your leader tells him this, and he's like, "Man, what you talking about?" and all this kind of stuff, trying to go back instead of just owning up to it and let's figure out how to get better. And I think those are the kind of things that we've been successful at.
Sure. And Coach, I wanted, as Kenny hit on earlier, a lot of, as he said, a lot of people trying to downplay JUCO basketball. And I've always been a firm believer, like you say, go where it fits you.
Right.
And I think it's a case of a lot of parents or either coaches or people that are handling the kids telling them that they're actually some are better than what they really are.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give a kid that's probably looking at this? And this is a question for you and Champ. What advice would y'all give a kid that don't want to look at the JUCO route, but it's talent wise, it's JUCO all day long?
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give that kid or parent or handler it?
I mean, it's just tough, man, because parent in this day and age, everybody want their kid to be the top mid-major. It's just the world we live in. Everybody want to play at Duke, North Carolina, high major, mid majors, and things like that. But you got to understand that there's those guys that play at that level. That's just a different level of talent. Not saying you can't get there with work, but the talent level, and what parents don't understand, a lot of that stuff is based on talent and probability. Where this guy got in these measurables, where he got these hands, he got this wingspan, he built like Superman and things like that. A lot of that stuff is just based on probability. But if you want to go, I advise every parent that you can get where you want to go. Sometimes it just takes a different route. And I'm gonna talk about this. When I was assistant coach, my first big time player that I recruited was Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder that plays for Memphis, he played for Boston, played for Cleveland and all that kind of stuff. He played for us down at, when I was an assistant at another JUCO. When I first saw Jay Crowder in 11th grade, he was 5'11", and we were looking at a point guard for the next year. All right. So I go back and watch him as a senior, and he's 6'4", 6'5". You know what I'm saying? So we signed him. He came and played for us, and he worked his tail off. I mean, and this was in what, Champ? 2008, 2009?
2008, I think.
This was 2008. So in 2008, he was working his behind off in the gym every day, taking ice baths, stretching, doing his exercise, because he was preparing for where he wanted to go. His dad played in the league for the Utah Jazz, so he had already had an idea of what it's supposed to look like, and he was just preparing himself. Now, with him, his role was different. but he still got there. And I think once parents understand that your road may be a little different, and there's nothing good wrong with taking the JUCO route to get better and to get there. Man, I'm talking about, man, you can't believe the kids that have played JUCO. You had Latrell Sprewell's nephew that played JUCO. You know, Sam Cassell Jr. played JUCO. Jay Crowder played JUCO. Jimmy Butler played JUCO. You know, it's a lot of kids that played JUCO that are in the NBA now. But when you look at those players, the one thing you take from that is how tough they are. Right. Those kids are just absolutely tough. They don't back down. They do whatever it needs to be done to win a game. And you know, and so many players today, they want to play at that level. They want to be this and they want to be that, but they don't want to do the necessary things to get there. And sometimes, in order to get there, you got to take a road that you don't want to take, or you're going to have to do some things that you don't want to do to get there. But you know what? If a parent don't want their kid to go JUCO, then fine. That's on them. And then the kid end up in JUCO anyway. You know what I'm saying? They'll go play mid-major, low to mid-major, and then they get released and they be calling you the next year. I've had tons of that happen, where they call you the next year, and now all of a sudden because now JUCO is the only choice, now they all for it, which is crazy, man. And one thing about it, man, is that JUCO can teach you a lot of things. It teach you about yourself and teach you about other people. You know, and that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. You know what I'm saying? So, kid, one thing about it, if you got a JUCO offer and the JUCO is a winning program and they got a knack for winning and moving kids on, then I advise high school kids to closely look at that. Because one thing you will have on the moving on to the next level is that you already have that game experience. You know, you've already been played against the toughest competition across the country, and you already have that. But then you've been, like Champ said, you've been in the weight room every day or whatever on a consistent basis. You've been playing against guys that are a lot better, a lot bigger, a lot stronger, and iron sharpens iron. So when you move on to that next level, you'll be ready. A lot of colleges don't recruit JUCO kids, but there are a ton of colleges that do recruit JUCO kids. Right. So that's what I would tell them. If you want to get to the next level, go JUCO, do what you're supposed to do, because there are more 4-year schools that recruit JUCOs than 4-year schools that don't recruit JUCOs.
So, Coach, I got a question for you. So, with the turnover ratio, every 2 years you got two classes out, new one in. Mm-hmm. And you got this thing figured out. So you've been able to develop a winning program throughout that. So what does it take? If you had what advice would you give a young coach who's taking over a program or just getting into that field of junior college recruiting? What advice would you give that individual?
Well, what I try to do is every year, I only have 12 spots. I only have 12 roster spots. And when we come in, we kind of decide. We always bring in a sophomore point guard, freshman point guard, sophomore combo, freshman. We kind of match it up because every year we want that freshman. We're banking on that the sophomore is going to lead us. The freshman is going to back up the sophomore. So the next year, now the freshman is leading us, and then we just kind of turn that cycle over and over and over. And I think that's the formula. I think having 15, 18 guys on your roster, I think that's no good. Because one thing about players, they know the pecking order, so to speak. They know who's good. They know early on who's going to play and who's not going to play. So once they figure that out, you got, who's going to play. You can only play 8 to 10 guys per game if you play that. Right. Then you got 6 guys sitting on the bench, barely getting practice time, not paying attention and all that kind of stuff. So we only have 12 to cut out all that extra stuff. You know what I'm saying? Them extra guys just sitting on the sideline, not doing it. So we only carry 12, and all 12 get all the reps. We have We have a first five, a second five, and a sub for each team. That way, everybody get all the reps. So when you get in the game, there's no reason why you shouldn't know what to do.
Right.
So what we try to do is we just try to, like I said, we just try to every year, like this upcoming year, we had a freshman that was back in Tampa up. So now he'll move into the starting point guard role until he shows me different. You know, it's a process. My sophomores always get an opportunity to play until they show me different, and then we just keep recycling it if we can. It's been working for us the last 3 or 4 years. This year, not so to speak, because we found a lot of freshmen that we like, and we're gonna try to get them in and try to get them acclimated to what we're doing so they can be ready to play.
Absolutely.
Champ, we've always told you that, you know, the younger kids always looking up to y'all for what y'all done and paved the way. And what would you tell these younger kids, man, about getting their grades?
Well, you know, for me, that's the most important thing. Grades. Like, that was one thing that I never had to worry about, and that's morally because of my mom. Like, as a young kid, you know what I'm saying, she really ain't play that too much. My dad too, but like, it got to become something that you like to do. Like, it's okay to get good grades. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people, I think they get the wrong image about it. Like, oh, you making good grades, but like, what's wrong with it? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's one of the most important things. Like, you getting good grades, that's something that later down the line you don't have to worry about, and that's a plus.
Hey, Champ, I got a question for you. So this actually for you and your dad. All right. So Champ, what age did you first beat your dad 1-on-1? How old was you? Your dad said it ain't happening.
He said it ain't happening. I would say probably about 10.
Hold on. You said 10?
No,
Probably
it had
about
to be.
10.
He was a little older than that. Nah.
Hey,
I probably was a little older.
you probably love. I was about to say, you know, Father's Day coming up, man. It's not like y'all gonna have to work that out, you know. But on a serious note, Coach, you know, the pandemic kind of hit kind of hard this year. So how did that impact your recruiting year and how your communication and getting your kids ready for the upcoming season?
You know, man, it hit us pretty hard because, you know, during this time we usually have 6 or 7, maybe 8 kids in summer school, and that's always been a plus for us because we get kids in early, we get acclimated to going to class. We having workouts, weights every day, individual workouts every day. We playing against some pro guys at night, so it kind of hurt us with getting a jump on our freshman kids. But what I think the positive thing it has done is it just helped us to communicate better with the guys we're bringing in. We always stand on the phone, just checking on them, see how they're doing. We're getting together a workout plan for our guys. We just signed our 11th guy. Our 11th guy just committed to us last week, so we're gonna send out our workout schedule for them, so they can kind of have some idea, be in some kind of shape when they get here, because we're not able to have them on campus this year. And just being able to communicate with guys, just check up on them and find out how the family doing. You know, getting a jump start on getting to know the family, brothers and sisters, and mom and dad and things like that. Man, it hadn't really been a bad thing. It's just like the pandemic is just helping us learn how to communicate better.
Right.
Hey, Champ, so this question's for you, man. Can you, and you kind of hit on it, and actually your dad just kind of hit on it as well. Can you kind of just take us what your schedule's like, right? So when you're getting up, being a college basketball player, and still having to get your classes in, but still having to get your work in on the court, with teamwork and individual work by yourself. Can you kind of just walk us through, like, maybe a day in the life?
All right, so regular day, probably you wake up. Me personally, I'm waking up 15 minutes before, no earlier. So I'm waking up. If we got to be up at 6, I'm waking up 5:45. That's enough time for me. So I'm waking up then 15 minutes before. You know what I'm saying? We'll wake up, go to the weight room. You know what I'm saying? Get our workout in, and then after we'll head to the track. And the track, that's probably like the worst part. Weights before, track after. You know what I'm saying? Then after that, kind of go back to the apartments, get a quick shower, then you off the class after that. Some guys will have individual workouts, like probably like a group of about 3 or 4. So you'll have your individual workout, and you either have it before class or you'll go to class, then you'll have it after. So then after that, after you finish that up, you go to the cab, get you some food, and then after that, depending on what time everybody's done with class, that determines what time we're gonna have like our team stuff. So we just come together as a team, work. So like in the summertime, we probably had about 8 guys. We'll get some to work in with those 8 guys. Then after that, later that night, probably about 6, 7, just depending on everybody's schedule, we'll get some open gym in with, like you said, the pros, some of the pro guys, overseas guys, NBA guys, stuff like that will come, and we'll just play pickup. And then after that, that's just really a full day. You probably get home probably about 9, 10, and then it's the same thing for a whole week, just over and over.
Right. So it's safe to say, and again, I'm asking you these questions, right? So I know you already know it, but I'm trying to get this information out for the younger guys that may be looking at you, right? Mm-hmm. So all the guys who know who Champ is, know Champ did this, Champ played here, Champ's playing here, but understanding what the work ethic is that's required and the discipline is that you have to go through this process.
Mm-hmm. I definitely say like the work ethic is something that you have to. Well, for some people it's a learning curve. For some people it's something they already have. But it's just you have to learn to be disciplined in it, because it's like if you don't learn to love it, if you don't learn to enjoy it, you'll hate it. So it's kind of one of those things where you gotta kind of, you know what I'm saying, you gotta learn to love it. Like, it's kind of cliche. A lot of people say trust the process, but it's one of those things you have to learn to love the process. Because once you fall in love with it, it's easy.
Yeah, so it's not something that you can just like. You gotta love it in order to go through all the hard work that's required for it.
Most definitely. Waking up at 6 every morning is one of those things you have to have in your mind, like, oh yeah, I'm ready for the day. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you wake up kind of like, man, this again, yeah, it ain't gonna go too good for you. But if you come into it with the right mindset, that's one of those things that we all had to learn as a team, and that they kind of preach is just the mindset thing. The mindset. You know what I'm saying? It'll take you a long way. It'll take you longer than you thought your body could go.
Right. Hey, and Coach, I'm going to ask you kind of touched on it earlier, but just that recruiting process, right? So you kind of hit on some of the things that once you identify somebody that you want, kind of that process of how you go and you do your research on them as far as the grades and attendance and all of those things. Can you just kind of just walk us through maybe just a short list of what other things you're looking for when you decide if you want to bring a guy in or not?
Well, one of the we have to get, what we try to look at is just get kids from good programs, good, solid programs where we've went and watched the practice, and we know that their high school is teaching them something, and I hate to say this, but there are so many bad high school programs. So that's one thing. We just try to get kids from good winning programs. Once you determine a good winning program, a lot of the things that we talk about, we don't have to worry about, because they've learned that in high school. So it won't be as much of a learning curve with those kids. It may be some terminology differences, but it may be that the learning curve won't be so big. But we just try to go get kids from good programs and guys that we trust, like Warner Robbins. Like, if I go to Tad and say, Tad, tell me about this kid, I know Coach Tad is going to tell me the truth. Oh, Coach, no, Coach. And that's what we need as college coaches, because, a lot of times we can get blinded by talent. Oh, this guy can put the ball in the hole. He got all the combo moves and that kind of stuff. But that'll win you some games, but that ain't going to win you the one you need to win. So I need to know about this kid's character. Can I depend on him is he gonna be tough enough to get a rebound when we need him to? Is he gonna be tough enough to stop a guy that's giving us some problems? Is he gonna be man enough to switch when we don't have any timeouts and everybody's dead tired and it's the second overtime? You know what I'm saying? We need to know that kind of stuff, and you know that kind of stuff by the type of character the kid has. So with us, we try to get kids from good high school programs that we've dealt with before. And believe it or not, man, so many high school coaches will lie to you just so they can say, I sent this kid here, I sent this kid here. You know what I'm saying? And that's bad for the game. If I need to know if a kid smoke, I need to know it. If you're hanging out all night, I need to know it. Tell me everything I need to know and let me determine whether I want to take him or not. Don't hold back the information, because if you hold it back and then he gets to us and he's doing all that, I'm going to call you and say, Coach, why you ain't tell me? And then I'm going to send the kid home. It's just that simple. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Coach. No, go ahead. I'll let you finish that thought, but I got another question after that.
So we need to know with us at Central Georgia Tech, we just go get kids from good programs, from guys that we've dealt with in the past. You know, guys that are going to tell her the truth about a kid and then let us determine whether we want to take them or not.
So my second part of that, right, is because, like you said, there are a lot of bad high school programs out here. Have you placed any of the AAU ball, right? How does that factor into any decision making that you have?
You know, it goes with the same thing. There's some good AAU teams, and then there's some bad AAU teams. And the worst part about it is everybody that plays AAU think they can play college basketball, and that's why you got all these mom and pop AAU teams, because everybody think they can play. I have never recruited a kid based off AAU alone. As a matter of fact, all the kids I recruited, besides Champ, I have no idea what AAU team they play for, because that doesn't matter to me. I know a lot of colleges depend on that, but that doesn't matter to me, because you don't really get a picture of basketball, because those guys, this is what you got to think about, and this is the same thing with some high schools. See, those guys that play in AAU, they doing whatever they want to, and the coach let them do whatever they want to, because they're afraid they're going to move to another AAU team. And it's the same thing with some high school. They're afraid the kid going to transfer. So I don't put a lot of stock in that. I mean, it's good to go watch games and things like that, but I don't put a lot of stock into all of that. And I'm gonna tell you why. This had to be 5-6 years ago. First got the job at Central Georgia Tech. Guys, wanted me to watch this kid play AAU, whatever. Coach, he can really play this, and that. So I go and watch him play. Okay, he can play. So I bring him down on a workout. Before he gets there, the coach telling me, Coach, he can do all this, he can do this. He's going to be the best player in your gym. I said, okay. So we go. He comes in to play. Workout was, first of all, we went through a 30-minute workout before we played. 45-minute workout. And then we played like 3 games of pickup. Well, in the AAU game, the guy, he was doing it, getting to the basket, whatever, anytime he wanted to. So he gets to play with us, and we play help and recover, gap defense, things like that. And we find out that he couldn't pass, because now our guys are sitting in that gap. You can't drive. Now you got to be able to make a decision. And we find out he couldn't make a decision. But the coach tried to sell me that he was a point guard. No. You cannot be a point guard, and you can't make decisions. So that was one of the reasons it put a sour taste in my mouth about some AAU players. I just don't put a lot of stock in. I'd rather go watch a kid play high school, because I think that's more of a basketball environment. Does that make sense? It's more of a if I make a mistake, we're gonna lose this game and coach gonna chew me out environment, opposed to if I make a mistake over here in this AAU, nobody's gonna say anything, and then I'm gonna continue to make the same mistake after mistake. You know what I mean? So I put more emphasis on watching a kid play in high school, and that's just my opinion because of my experiences with it.
Right.
Well, Coach, for us, our level, what do you think some of the things that we could do to move Middle Georgia forward? Trying to catch up with Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tall task, and we know that.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the things that you think, that you foresee us doing to try to move this thing forward, basketball wise?
Well, I think I'm gonna tell you another example. See the kids in Atlanta, they're more skilled because there's always a gym they can go into, and you got thousands of trainers and things like that. So they're more skilled. With our kids down in South and Middle Georgia, we're tougher, we're more athletic because we're playing other sports. You know, we might be guys might be playing football, I might be running track or stuff like that. I had a kid a couple of years say, "Coach, man, why you guys down here so athletic?" I said, "Because we play more than one sport. You guys just stick with basketball." But I think the thing with us, how we can catch up, is just continue to put our players, Middle Georgia, South Georgia players, like you guys do, Tat, take them to those tournaments and match them up with those guys, and let's let it do what it do.
Right.
You know, a lot of times, and Champ can contest to this, there's a lot of kids, and my assistant coach does a great job of this. Anytime we matched up with anybody, if anybody on their team has any offers for any school, I don't care if it's Backyard State, Coach Mincy bringing that up in the scout report. And he said, "You got this guy, he got this offer. That means they're saying that you ain't worth this. So we gonna match him up and we gonna see what it is." And our kids take that personal. And I think that's what you have to do. I think, Coach, we have to take our kids from Middle and South Georgia and line them up in front of them guys. And you'll see how we continue to progress and move forward. Just take them up there. See, a lot of even in high school, a lot of high school programs don't want to play those programs. But I mean, they just players though. Let's go play the game, and let's see how good we're gonna be by matching up with these guys. They say these guys supposed to be this and this. We're gonna see. Let's see.
Right.
You know, just like the year y'all won it, we won it his senior year. I mean, even his whole high school career, y'all always match your team up with those guys and say, let's line it up. We're trying to find out who bumping tonight. That's how we used to say back in the day. Who bumping tonight? You know? And that's only, I think that's the only way, Tat. That's the only way we're going to continue to move forward. Just keep pounding, you know, keep teaching our guys how to play the right way. And anytime we get a chance to go up there and play them.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Coach Charles, I'm gonna throw it to you, but I just want to make sure I copy both of those right. So it's Backyard U and who's pumping tonight?
Bumping tonight.
Oh, bumping tonight. All right.
Backyard U and who's bumping tonight.
Yeah,
And that's and you know, believe it or not, man, you know, Coach Messi has always done a good job of doing our research, and that's another thing why we've been so successful, because you know his scouting reports are so detailed that we know we basically it's like kids play for us. We know so much about them. Well, I mean it's crazy, and he did a good job. He does a good job of matching guys up. If they got a good point guard, Champ, this your matchup tonight. They say he's this and he's that. If they got a good scoring wing, Miles Lincoln, this is your matchup tonight. He's this, he's that. And we just see what it is. And, you know, if they beat us, but they're going to be in for a war. We're going to match up with them. But, you know, unfortunately, we've been able to come up on top on a lot of them. And that's one of the things, one of the reasons why we've been so successful.
Yes, sir. Coach Charles?
Yeah, coach. So we kind of spoke a little bit about it earlier. We was talking about your freshmen that you got coming in. So when those guys get on the floor, what are some of the learning curves for you for each for every freshman that come in? What are some of those things?
Well, coach, man, the thing about it is, kids have to learn not to take everything literally. And they don't take everything personal. It's only just to get you better. And if you have, in order to play in our program, you got to have some tough skin to play for us, because we're going to call you out as a coaching staff. Players going to call players out, and if you can't handle that, you're not going to survive. I encourage that, because once everybody knows and can understand and know where their weaknesses are, then they'll work on it. I mean, just with Champ and his jump shot, I've never seen. I mean, he these 2 years he's been in the gym at night, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, working on his jump shot just because kids called him out on it. If they never would have called him out on that, he'll be the same kid he was when he was in high school, Tat. You know what I'm saying? So that made him, he's calling me out. I gotta do this. I gotta work on this. And then on the other end, when Champ know a kid can't handle the basketball and Champ D'ing him up and he telling him, man, you need to work on your handles. The next day, individuals, he's working. You could tell the difference. You can see the change when players call players out. And what we try to do is we try to let players police players. When players police players, they get better. If I do it, it's just, coach just fussing at me.
Right.
Coach just talking trash to me. Coach don't know what he's talking about. But if your teammate say, man, you can't handle the basketball, or if your teammate back off you because he think you can't, that's gonna mess with you a little bit. So that's gonna get you in the gym and help you work on your game. And that's another avenue to kids improving and getting better.
So, Coach, no, I agree. So I've been in the military 21 years. So that peer-to-peer leadership and informal leadership is so important for an organization to thrive. And to hear that you practicing that, so a lot of those things translate. So definitely we need to start getting these kids to start holding others accountable. Right?
Exactly. And
so,
a lot of, and you can see it. You see it a lot today. One thing we do in our practice before we practice, we have a blue team and a white team, and it'd be 1-5 against another 5, and be sub. And I change it up every day, so you never know who's going to be on your team until you walk in the locker room and see it on the board. And you can hear guys saying, "Yeah, we're going to get y'all today." You can hear them coming out the locker room. "Yeah, we're going to get y'all today. Y'all got us yesterday, or whatever." But it's a situation where, like you said, that peer-to-peer accountability that helps players move on. Because today, kids want to play on the same team with their friends.
Yep.
They don't want to guard their friends. That's not gonna work.
Yeah.
We don't care who it is. We mixing them up and we bumping the date, so to speak. So we may have a team on Monday, and they win all the drills and everything, and we may decide to mix it up, or we say let's keep the same teams. Let's see how the losing team will respond today. You know what I'm saying? And then we just kind of go from there. We let the players determine what's going on with minutes and practice time. I let players determine each other's minutes. So if Champ is the starting point guard and you want to get some of those minutes, then you're gonna have to come in here. You're gonna have to show Champ up, so to speak, in practice. You're gonna have to get at him. And if you want to keep his minutes, he's gonna get back at you. You know what I'm saying? And that's the kind of stuff we try to breathe in practice. And you'll be surprised how that carries over to a game.
Yep.
You'll be surprised how that carries over to a game. Just like bad habits carry over to a game.
Oh yeah.
Good habits carry over to a game also.
Good stuff. That's good stuff, Coach.
Hey, Coach. So we're gonna wrap here in a minute. We definitely appreciate you guys coming out. But before we go, I do have a question I want to ask you.
Okay.
A final question, so to speak. Do which kid is what's the right way to say it? Which kid is more valuable to you, right? A kid that loves to win or a kid that hates to lose?
Well, I think it's the kid that loves to win, because if you got a kid that loves to win, he hates to lose.
Mhm.
You know, I think a kid, but you know, so many kids just don't know how to win. You know, they think if I go out and score 20, that's knowing how to win. But don't know how to fight for a defensive rebound, or don't, you know, we did a great scouting report and we know they're gonna run this play and you get lost on it. That's just that a kid that just loves to win. I think if he loves to win, I think he's gonna know how to do those things to help us win. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Kid
sir.
that loves to win, he's gonna bring he's gonna bring his "I love to win" mentality to those other guys. And I think that's a lot. That's important when it comes time to recruiting. You got to get kids that know how to win, that come from winning programs, that come from programs that's teaching kids how to play, and that's doing the right thing instead of just throwing out the balls and saying y'all go play. So that's what I just like a kid that loves to win.
Right.
A kid that loves to win, he's gonna fight you. That's just my opinion.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. Hey, Coach, like I said, we're gonna wrap, man, but we appreciate you being on the show. Champ, we appreciate you coming on, man. And you know, we're proud of you, Champ. You know, we've seen you grow, right? And going to that next level. And Coach, we just appreciate the knowledge that you'll be able to share with us as coaches, right? So we're AAU coaches. So any little nuggets we can take to help prepare our kids to go to that next level. And with Tat being a high school coach, you know, it's already locked in. So we appreciate your time. Coach Tat, you got anything?
Man, just Coach, like I said, we really appreciate it, man. Didn't take one call, you was all for it, and we really appreciate it, man. Champ, like you say, man, we watch you grow. We're watching you continue to grow and continue to lead, and these young guys are looking at you, listen to every word you say. Love the way you carry yourself, role model to them. And like I say, man, we just appreciate y'all being on, Coach.
I appreciate it, man. Y'all keep doing your thing, man. If I can do anything to help, man, I'm just a phone call away. I always tell people, man, you know, if you got my number, you're important. If you don't have it, then you must not be important. So give me a shout anytime, man. I'll be happy to help, man, wherever I can. Man, y'all keep doing the right thing with them AAU teams too, man, because that's where it starts at, man. You know, a lot of our youth are spending more time with you guys, with the AAU team, and they're starting to spend less time with the high school team. So it's good that the AAU teams are still collaborating with the high school teams, so we can kind of get a hold on this thing, man, and just not make one more important than the other. You know what I mean? Right. So let's keep doing it, man. And if I can do anything to help you guys, feel free to call me.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Coach, we're gonna take you up on that. We definitely want to, bring the boys out to a practice so they can see it with their own eyes and all that good stuff. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely appreciate it. Coach Charles, you got anything before we wrap?
No, Coach, we appreciate you, man. Keep doing what you're doing. You got a great program, doing great things over there, man. Champ, hey, high character kid. Hey, best of luck to you, man. All love. So
appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, so to all the viewers out there, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Again, if you got content that you want to hear about, see about, talk about, let us know. Hit us on our social media platforms, and we'll get to it. Make sure you join us Wednesday. We got a huge show Wednesday. Coach Tat, you want to plug that a little bit?
Oh, yeah, we got Coach T from Central High School, man, girls coach, man, legendary Baldwin High School player, man, that came through. And we got Tasha Butts. We got Tasha Butts, man. She's another big time Baldwin player that played at Tennessee for the late Pat Summit. The assistant coach at Georgia Tech right now. So we got them Wednesday, man. Another big show.
So yeah, so make sure you join us, tune in. again, as always, we appreciate you guys checking us out. We get the buzz on the street is that we're giving you guys something that you appreciate and that you need. So please let us know if there's anything we can do. But until the next time, peace.